And it's pretty simple, the questions, but it's pretty important that you listen to exact words that I'm going to use. The three questions, I'm going to give them to you all right now, so if you decide you want to leave after you hear them, you can jump out if you want. But the first question is, what do you own? Why do you own it? And when was the last time you took a look at it? What do you own? I don't care what you bought. I want to know what you own. If you bought a 20-year term 10 years ago, what do you have? A 10-year term. You don't have a 20-year term, you have a 10-year term. So we ask the question, what do you own? Because we want to know, what do you have today? You could have bought a variable life policy 20 years ago that was supposed to be funded doing amazing things for you today, but it's been mismanaged and it's falling apart. So what do you own? A robustly funded variable life policy? No. You own a failing policy that needs to be reviewed. Maybe you bought a no-lapse guarantee policy 10 years ago. Maybe that universal life policy that you were funding occasionally that was supposed to last for as long as you do hasn't been funded the way that it needs to be, and so it's not performing the way it's supposed to. So what do you own? Let's get that on the table. Let's figure out what you own. The next question is, why do you own it? And here I use the word own because it's even more important to understand why they paid the last premium, not the first premium. They might have bought the policy 10 or 15 years ago because they were worried about a shortfall related to their college education. Well, the kids have gone to college now. They don't have that shortfall. So the reason they bought the insurance is probably very different than the reason that they currently own the insurance. And one of the things that I find in this conversation is this is a transformational moment where they go from, well, this is why I bought it, to, oh, this is why I own it. It renews their commitment to the policy as it stands in their life today. And I think the more we get folks to renew that commitment each and every year when they're making that premium payment, the more likely they continue the program, the more likely they are to pay the next premium without having to resell the design that you put in place for them back in the beginning, or the real need that they have for it. So we start out by asking what they own, so when we move into the conversation about why do they own it, we have a much better understanding of, well, what should really be done. If they bought it 10 years ago because they wanted to protect their income related to their spouse, and now they're divorced, they might not have that desire. Or maybe the divorce decree says they have to have it. And so now it's a different reason for owning it. It's not motivated out of necessarily love. It's now motivated out of, the legal requirement. So those ideas start to play into understanding, do they have the right product? Is it owned the right way? Are the beneficiaries set up properly? Because why we own it starts to drive those deeper questions that you can develop. And then pretty simply, when was the last time you took a look at it? If you're not asking that question, you're missing the opportunity to be of real value, of real service to your customers and to the prospects, to the folks that you know that maybe aren't your customer yet. How many times do people buy their life insurance policy, take that plastic thing it's delivered in, or maybe not even a plastic thing anymore, just the stapled set of papers, and they put it in the file folder, they drop it in the drawer, and they never come back to it? They get that premium notice, or maybe it's coming out automatically monthly, and so they're really not getting a statement at all, and they never go back to revisit it. What I like to do, how many of you own a car? How many own a car? Okay. I'm going to pick on Rob, since that's somebody I know in the audience. Rob, how many cars in your household? 4 cars in your household. What's the oldest car in your household? 2007. What's the newest car in your household? 2017. So it's safe to say that 4 times in the last 10 years, you've evaluated what your needs are for you and your family. You've gone out to the market and evaluated what the alternatives were. And 4 times in the last 10 years, you've made a buying or leasing decision about what vehicle makes the most sense for your family. You've added the vehicle you needed at the time. You've made decisions about it. 4 times he's undergone a review of his needs related to what the market provides and made buying or leasing decisions. How many of you have 4 times in the last 10 years gone back and evaluated what was your needs for you and your family, gone out to the marketplace and made buying or leasing decisions about your life insurance, about your long-term care, about your disability? How many times when you ask your clients that question, will they be driving to the meeting in a vehicle that's much newer than the last time they reviewed their life insurance? I find in every case, and I'm sitting here a bunch of life insurance agents right now, but in every case when I've asked that question to a customer, I have found that they review their vehicle purchases far more frequently than they review their life insurance purchases. And when I ask them the question, which one's worth more? The 4 vehicles, Rob, if we added up the value of those 4 vehicles, would they be more valuable than the death benefits you own or less valuable than the death benefits? What? The 4 vehicles are valued way less than the total life insurance. So client, so prospect, let me ask you this. Since you're willing to spend so much time on something that's worth so much less, don't we owe it to the ones that you love to spend just a little bit more time on something that's worth so much more to all those you care so much about? Now, if you're not ready to walk through the process of getting them into underwriting and understanding what they need, they're probably not alive on the other side of the table. Their heart's probably not beating enough in order to really work it through. But we start with asking, what do you own? Why do you own it? And when was the last time you took a look at it? And in that, when was the last time you took a look at it, you can easily pivot to the conversation about a car. How many of you have a cell phone that's less than a year old? How many of you have a cell phone that's less than a year old? Yeah. How many have one that's less than 2 years old? Everybody, right? Pretty much. If you ask it on cell phones, every single person sitting in front of you has a newer cell phone than they do a life insurance policy, unless you just sold it to them. So you have plenty of opportunity to talk to them about how they manage their needs in other areas more urgently than they manage the need related to their life insurance. And if something were to happen to them, you definitely have done them a tremendous service by moving that up on the priority list, making it a little more urgent, making it a little higher priority. So the 3 questions: what do you own? Why do you own it? When was the last time you took a look at it? Find the thing that you can use in common. I use cars and phones because just about every one of my customers has a car and a phone. They're comfortable making buying or leasing decisions about cars and phones. And so I make insurance that same thing, something they're comfortable to make buying and leasing decisions about. That's my advice for you today. I don't think I've used up anywhere near the amount of time, so I can answer any question you have if anybody has one. Anyone? No questions? All right. Well, that's all I got for you. It didn't take 20 minutes, so you guys have time to, talk amongst yourselves.